Paris, this is DeAnne Guzman, and I'm going to show you my audience for my speech today. Thank you all for joining me here today for this speech. All right, usually high-tech gadgets and high technology make the list for the latest and greatest advancements in technology developments. But today I have a different type of development to share with you all. This development was originated back in the mid-1960s and is still in use today. In fact, millions and millions of people are benefiting from this development. And this development is high-yield rice. Rice is the food of the world. It's feeding many people around the world. And even though we have developments on the rice seeds, still much is left to be done because we need to produce enough crops to meet current needs as well as future needs. So today, I'm going to share with you some information. I'm going to make 4 points. First, I'm going to talk to you about the rice plant itself and the 4 stages of growth. Second topic I'm going to cover are the pioneers who developed the high-yield rice. And the third point I'm going to make is the benefits or the reason why high-yield rice is so important to so many nations. And the last point I'm going to make is the future needs of the world regarding high-yield rice. So to start off, rice is a cereal grain. It comes from the grass plant. And it's grown all over the world, usually in tropics, but it flourishes in a wide variety of climates and different types of conditions. And it usually takes about 3 to 6 months to grow to maturity, depending on where it's grown. So rice plant goes through 4 stages of growth. The first stage is the germination stage, which that's where the roots and the stems shoot out from the seed. The second stage is the vegetative state, and that's where the tillers and the leaves start growing. And the tillers are the stems that come out from the main shoots. And the third stage is the reproductive stage. And that's the bulging leaf stem called the booting stage. And that's where the panicle starts to develop. And the panicle is a head that forms at the base and stems of the roots. And the fourth stage is the ripening stage. And that stage starts when the flowering activity begins, and it ends when the grain is fully matured. And that stage usually lasts around 30 days. So the second topic I want to cover are the pioneers of the high-yield rice. One of them is Dr. Henry Hank Beecher. He first developed the high-yield crop in 1966. And in 1996, he was given the World Food Prize along with Dr. Cush. And those 2 men made significant contributions towards helping increase the food supplies for the growing Asian populations. And Beecher was a premier rice breeder for the IRRI, which is the International Rice Research Institute. And he brought in numerous researchers from around the world to help him and work with them. They brought in numerous different varieties of grass seeds, and they crossbred. And the website livingfarms.com says that the efforts of these researchers at IRRI produced the rice at almost 10 times the yield of standard rice with a shorter harvest cycle. So they classified that new breed as IR8, but it later became known as miracle rice due to the high yield that it had. So the third topic I want to cover today is the fact that rice is being consumed around the world. In fact, it's the most consumed food, and it's considered the life source in many nations. And the reason why is because rice is rich with calories. It doesn't have any sugar, no fat. The energy from the food comes from the carbohydrates and the proteins. And Dr. Data estimates that about 40% of the world's population uses rice as its major source of calories, with over 1 billion people worldwide consuming rice as their primary food. So lastly, what I want to talk about is the future needs for high-yield rice. As the populations continue to grow, our rice crops need to increase. And the website nature.com estimates that global demand for food will double over the next 50 years. And so in order to achieve sustainability, yields must increase without sacrificing natural resources or public health. And I have a quote here from R. Bradfield. He says that the nations that are most advanced agriculturally are in general those that have made a substantial investment in science and education during the past century. So not only do farmers and scientists need to have an intimate knowledge of their crops, but they must also understand their environment. such as climate, soil conditions, and the natural surroundings of the farmland. It wouldn't solve any problems if we sacrifice our natural resources just to get a bigger crop. Farmers need to find new approaches to yield up to 50 to 60% more rice on the same amount of farmlands just to meet future needs. So in conclusion, communication is key to getting information out to the farmers to help them maximize their crops. This includes educating them on new technologies and more efficient farming practices, not only in regards to growing the crops, but also pertaining to harvest methods. So we need to look to current day pioneers and experts such as Australia. The rest of the world has something to learn from their technology and farming practices. According to RiceGrowersAssociation.com, Australia is producing yields large enough to feed 20 million people a day. And even though those are staggering numbers, more is needed to meet the demands of the future. We must find ways to yield more rice without destroying the environment. MS Swaminathan tells us that we really need to get that part right. He says, if conservation of natural resources goes wrong, nothing else will go right. Thank you all, and here's my list of resources that I mentioned during the video, speech. Thanks.